This is a tour of my newly completed shop. All the renovations are finished and the shop is currently clean. So I thought I would do the video now while it's still clean. I don't know how long it's going to stay that way. First thing I want to show is an earlier project from last year. One of the first ones I put on the site. It's a wood rack made out of steel. It's fairly deep, about 16 inches deep, and I don't know, about 36 inches long. And as you can see, it holds a lot of wood. Not longer pieces, but shorter off-cut pieces, stuff that I use a lot of smaller pieces, so this is very handy for that. On the wall beside it, I've got a couple of jigs. One is my sharpening jig. There's an early video on that. That's for sharpening my thickness planer knives. And beside that is my taper jig for using on a table saw. Below that is the edge banding trimmer. On this side of the wood rack is the Dremel press, or the rotary tool drill press. It's not actually supposed to be in here, but I was doing some stuff with it, so I left it in here. Here I've got my chop saw station, and that's also a project from early on my website. This is really handy to have, especially the hood part. It catches all the dust, well, 90% of the dust, and it's also possible to hook up dust collection to it. The dust goes in the hood and then it falls down inside here, and what this is actually a drawer. Pulls open, and I've just got a dustpan in here so that when I need to clean this out, just take a dustpan, scrape everything up, and then the garbage can like that. It's pretty handy. Like I say, it collects 90% of the dust that comes off the saw. Also in the bottom here I've got blade storage. There's a couple of tip out holders here for various size blades. That's a good use of the space down in the bottom of the saw station. On top of the chop saw station here I've got my box joint jig right in the front there, you can see, and my router lift in the back there, and that 1-inch belt sander. That's not quite, the project's not quite done yet. Look for that over the winter. I should be able to get that done. My lathe is inside here. Whenever I need to use it, all I need to do is fold down this wing on my chop saw station, move this out of the way. This is temporary, by the way, until I get the drill press cabinet done. And then I can use the lathe. I've got the drill press in the corner on its leveling base. This is the best place for it right now in this shop. If I need to drill longer stuff, which I almost never do on a drill press, I could always move it a little bit, but for the most part I think this is the ideal place for it in the shop. On the wall beside the drill press is my circle cutting jig. That's another early project on my site, and I'm going to do a demo video on that pretty soon. This is my router table. There have been a few videos on this. Still really working well, and I don't think I'd ever want to replace this one. I've been asked what the second wheel is for. The second wheel is to overdrive the small wheel. The adjustment on this is really fine. So turning the big wheel turns the smaller wheel about 2.5 times for every rotation of the big wheel. So that makes it go up and down a bit faster. The bits and wrenches are stored in the sides behind the doors. That's in both ends. On this side I have 1/4-inch bits, and then on the other side I have 1/2-inch bits. This is my steel top table. That was a recent article on the website and a series of videos. Also, there's my homemade bench vise, which is working splendidly, I must say. I went and I got a 24-pound anvil, which is a small anvil, but it will meet my needs, no problem. As shown in a remodel videos, here's the shelving unit on this side of the shop. The closed set here where I keep stuff that's not normally used every day, and the open ones for the majority of my tools that I normally use all the time. Here's my workbench in its new location. I've got it leveled up. I had to put blocks underneath the feet. This one is on the floor, the other 3 are up off the floor to make it level, to make it reasonably level anyway. Quick release knives, works great. It's something that I'm really happy with and have been since I made it. It makes that horrendous sound, but that really has no effect on it whatsoever. That comments asking if that's wearing out the threaded rod, but the place that it contacts is right at the very bottom. It's the nut when it opens up, and it's not wearing out anything. It just sounds bad. This is a sanding station. Probably one of the first projects that I did for the website and for videos on. It has built-in dust collection. An older shop vac is in here, and it's wired direct to a switch on the side here. And the hose is movable from the disc sander here to the spindle sander. And I only use this as a spindle sander. I very rarely use the belt sander attachments. That stays in the drawer. The 4 drawers, the top one is for sandpaper storage. It's got a rack in here that holds the sheets individually, and plus there's space over here for this. Next one down is mainly for sanding belts, for the belt sander, odd pads and discs. This one is for 5-inch sanding discs for my random orbit sander. And also back here I've got some spare sanding drums for the spindle sander. And then the bottom one, it's just for other storage. Right now I've got a palm sander in here that I never use. Probably one of the handiest things in the shop is this sanding station. On the wall behind the sanding station I've got all my clamps. The deep ones are on the wall like that, kind of an artistic presentation of them. The other wooden ones are here, plus the metal bar clamps right there, spring clamps, edge clamps, and some pipe clamps. All right there. Tucked in behind here is my old router lift. In this new shop configuration, I've put the bandsaw, the small bandsaw here, which seems like a good place for it. There's plenty of light there and space for it. The compressor I put right beside the door. This seems to be the better place for this also. Here I've got the Downdraft sanding table with all the storage in it for screws and bolts and every kind of fastener you could think of are in these drawers. I'll give you an example right now. Got just about everything I need on a regular basis in these drawers. Plus all the screws that I normally use are in these bins, wood screws. My belt sander platform here on top of the sanding, downdraft sanding table. One of the more handy things that I have in the shop. I use this almost every single day. My dust collector is on wheels. I mainly use it for two purposes. One is vacuuming the floor, and the other is for hooking up to the surface planer. And that's about it. I don't use it for anything else because it really isn't powerful enough to plumb in lines for you. If you're gonna plumb in lines for central dust collection, you really need a bigger unit. This is my big bandsaw. Like I said in an earlier video, I really don't use it a lot. When I do use it, it's very handy. I mean, for resawing stuff, you really can't beat it. It still works fine. Everything's good on it. Overall, it's a good design, and if I had a bigger shop, then I could justify having it. Right here in this shop, it really takes up too much space for what I use it for. And then last but not least, my homemade table saw. This is the most popular article on my site, bar none. Nothing else comes even close to the amount of traffic that this saw gets. I'm very happy with the saw. If I had to do it again, there were a couple of things that I would do differently, but not a whole lot. Overall, this is the right size, has the right capacity, does the right things. Fence system, very happy with. The recent changes I made to it to add the ultra-high molecular weight plastic to it is really worth doing. Before, with the plywood that I had on here, material would sometimes get kind of hung up, and that has not happened with this. Here's the fence. The fence is homemade. It's a Biesmeyer style mechanism. It has a cam lock on the front here. It's a steel rail, steel angle. I've seen these made with longer angles, but you really don't need a longer angle. The beauty of these type fences is that you can just pull it right off and you're clear. Locks on the front, and in this case locks positively, it doesn't move. I've even made cuts with it only part of the way down, it will not slip. On the front of the rail I have a block of ultra high molecular weight plastic. I used to have a bearing here, but then I added the miter slot and the bearing would dip into the miter slot, so I changed it to this plastic and it works just as well as the bearing. Here's a closer look at the cam. I made this from a piece of 1-inch steel, and I welded this handle onto it, and I flattened the spot here, so that's the locking position when it tightens against the rail. Now the hole that's in here is off center, by, I think, a 1/16 of an inch. That's it. That's as much as it needs to be. On the angle here, I have strips of ultra-high molecular weight plastic tape, and that makes it glide smoother. I used to have them on the front here also, but what happened is they rubbed off really quickly. The rail itself can be moved back and forth to square the fence to the saw. So that's it. All clean, newly renovated. I'm in the shop at least until this spring, and then I'll be trying to sell this house so I can move to another location. At that time, I'll either have another shop or I'll be starting to build one, and I'll have some temporary thing happening. So in the meantime, over the winter, you'll see videos from this shop, and hopefully I can keep it this clean. Thanks for watching.